I know we've been here a long time today, at over 12 hours, and it's been new for me, and I'm voting here in the Assembly chamber. It's a continuation of the job-killing policies that have plagued New York State for decades. And it's no wonder we're the least business-friendly state in the nation. We have no problem looking to the state for solutions that should be achieved at the local level. Even better, our citizens can find solutions with little to no state government influence at all. I clearly see a small clique of elite who drive 2 hours north, think they know what's best, and dictate to the rest of us. It's downright reckless and irresponsible. Already I've seen bill after bill that should be titled, "Downstate Knows Best." That's the real title of gun control law passed earlier this year in this budget, which allots over $27 million for a gun database. Our encroaching government will know every law-abiding citizen who is exercising their Second Amendment right, where they live, and how many guns they have. I'd like to remind everyone in this chamber that George Orwell's 1984 is a warning of what may come, not a how-to guide to tyranny. It was once said that the sun never sets on the British Empire. Now we can say that the sun never sets on New York State taxes. I live next to the largest natural electric generator in the world, Niagara Falls. 20 miles, but yet I pay the highest electric rates, literally in the nation, 20 miles away. A couple years ago, they swept about $500 million out of the New York Power Authority that was a surplus. But Albany, and they didn't give it back to the taxpayer, back to the people, to lower rates just even at 20 miles away or 10 miles away in Buffalo, New York, which had the highest rates. They could have given some of that back. They didn't. And Albany doesn't just stop at an energy tax. Once they smell blood, they intensify the assault like a pack of wolves on a wounded deer. Look at workman's comp. In my business, probably one of the biggest job killers we have to stay in business. $2 billion surplus. And what do? Instead of giving it back 5 times higher than the national average, try and help our businesses, we sweep it back into the general fund. Let's pay off our debt, overtax our citizens, which I think is totally illegal, double taxation, and then keep it. It's not only, I think, illegal, it's irreprehensible, and it's morally wrong. The governor doesn't want to say it, but I will. Of course this is a budget tax increase. And I don't care how many times Albany insiders tell me about how we've passed another budget without taxes, we won't get fooled again. This budget also phases in an increase in the minimum wage. This concerns me as a small businessman, and I want to dispel 2 major myths about minimum wage in the business community. Number one, businesses do not exist to subsidize social welfare programs. That's not why we build businesses. That's not why we invest. That's not why we create jobs. That's not why we employ half of your children and grandchildren. Entrepreneurs build businesses hoping we may leave our children better off than ourselves, the American dream, like my father and like my grandfather. We benefit from the American economic system of boundless opportunity, free initiative, and fair competition because we take risks. Number 2, we cannot and should not be in the business of hiking minimum wage. We can't just give out other people's money because it makes us feel good. This isn't a therapy session to salve your conscience. The real, harsh truth of a minimum wage increase is that it will cost hard-working New Yorkers their jobs. I haven't heard one business person serving in this body stand up and say it won't kill jobs. You know why? Because everyone who has ever created a job knows this is a job killer. And that's precisely why the career politicians don't know. Instead of playing Santa Claus and promising a wage increase, let's tell the truth. Tell the kids hoping to find their first job they may not be hired. Tell them their friends may be fired. Last summer's job may have disappeared because the grocery store, the pizza shop, or the dry cleaner can no longer take on an extra employee. Businesses will do what they have to survive. The bottom line does not change no matter how long we lay awake at night wishing it would. We voted on a budget cut that cuts funding to the developmentally disabled by $90 million, despite the fact that the Assembly and Senate both passed resolutions restoring it. Why is this acceptable now? Votes are not symbolic when they mean this much to a community. Will you now just turn away from the truly needy when we will give Hollywood millions of dollars to shoot movies in New York? Who really needs the money worse, NBC or the developmentally disabled? The answer to that question doesn't change either, no matter how long you lay awake at night wishing. Albany is not the North Pole. The governor is not Santa Claus. We aren't his helpers. But you sure wouldn't know that by looking around, though, would you? This chamber and the governor has promised a $350 check to be sent to nearly every middle and upper class taxpayer. Surely it's a coincidence. Well, this governor likes to say New York is open for business, but this budget says a whole lot less to me, a small business person. Instead of championing this budget to promote employment and work to dismantle the welfare culture entrenched in fourth generations, we will add thousands to the unemployment rolls when we attack the slim margins of the business person. Instead of working to promote a path to full employment, Albany is trying to implement policies that hurt us. One of our most thoughtful founding fathers, Benjamin Franklin, once said, "I am for doing good to the poor, but I think the best way of doing good to the poor is not making them easy in poverty, but leading or driving them out of it." We no longer have a social safety net. We have a social welfare hammock where far too many are reclined. Let's lead and show the way to employment. Let's redesign the social safety net, only for those who truly need it. Let's make it so EBT cards can no longer be used in strip clubs and liquor stores. Let's make sure these funds intended to help families are used that way and not on illicit drugs. Work with me to make sure that the influx of new welfare recipients to New York are not the drug addicts from the 7 other states who have put forth laws to drug test their welfare recipients. Let's create a working state, not a welfare state. New York will only truly be open for business when we treat business and our people with respect. We aren't creating jobs tonight, we're killing jobs. We aren't defending freedom, we're ending it. This budget lacks the real change New York so desperately needs. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I vote no.